Welcome back to For Your Busan. And now we have time for Relationship Matters with American Ajay Casey in the studio.
안녕하세요.
안녕하세요. You have a family, you have kids here, you're all living here in Korea, in Busan, Korea. Now,
That's right.
You're going to tell us some relationship advice, right?
I'm gonna attempt to use my Professor X-like mental powers.
Ooh,
sometimes when you're in a relationship, you have situations, and sometimes you feel like you could pass on good advice, and that's exactly what I'm going to do this week. David? Do you have a hard time saying sorry?
I'm from a country that is known to have the biggest inclination to apologize. Do you know what that is?
Sorry. Did they say it like that?
I don't know. Sorry. I grew up in Canada,
Right.
but I've got to learn through thick and thin that different cultures have different perceptions to people saying sorry all the time.
For sure.
And so through my years of learning and interacting with people of different culture, I try to say sorry less and less. And so now I don't say sorry unless I really, really, really mean it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, since you're in Korea now, not in Canada, do you find yourself saying sorry, or do you find yourself saying 미안해요 more?
I think to like strangers?
I guess more with people you're closer with.
You know what? Now I recalled an incident. I went to eat 돼지국밥. And I bumped into I've bumped into a lady working there, and I just because I bumped into her, I said,
Right.
죄송합니다.
You went with the 죄송합니다.
Yeah.
I almost never use 죄송합니다.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why that is.
What do you say instead?
미안합니다.
Okay.
But I don't know why that is.
Oh.
Perhaps that's what I just learned from listening to people.
For me,
Yeah.
미안합니다 is like, so 죄송합니다 is like you're really, really, really sincerely sorry. That's how I look at it.
It's a level up.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then below that is 미안합니다.
Man, I'm so low. Low level.
And then below that is 미안해요.
Okay, right.
Yeah,
Because
right.
that's,
And then way below that is 미안요.
미안요, I would never,
think-
not once.
I would only say that, to friends.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you say it one more time?
미안요.
미안요.
Yeah.
It sounds kind of cute.
It does, doesn't it?
It's not to be taken seriously. It sounds like.
Exactly. It's like my bad almost.
Okay.
I think.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
See, this is the levels of saying sorry. And I think not just Korean and not just English. I think in many languages, and as you pointed out before, in many different cultures, sorry can take on totally different meanings, right?
Exactly, yeah. Depending on what kind of situation you're in and who you're talking to.
And that's why today I wanted to bring this up. I'll play 연애 박사 today.
Ooh.
Yes, 그렇게 할게요.
박사님.
네, 왔습니다. So today I want to talk about if specifically you're in an intercultural relationship and you have the need to apologize suddenly because I had a recent incident where my wife and I, we had an argument and I think it totally stemmed from a language misunderstanding. Do you ever have that kind of situation where you're the language that you're comfortable with and the language another person is comfortable with is not the same, and you kind of misunderstand each other, and then it leads to a fight?
I do. Even to this day, after having lived here for 10 years or more now, it's this word, 괜찮아요. You know the word 괜찮아요?
Yes.
괜찮아요 could mean like, I'm okay, thanks.
Right.
But it could also mean like, no thanks.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So I really go by 눈치 now.
Oh, yeah.
But
Important.
90% of the time, I feel like it's like no thanks. So one time, I was eating with, I had a date and we're eating, right? And then we had this last piece of, I don't know, let's say pizza left. And I'm like, do you want the last piece? And she said, 괜찮아요. I'm like, okay, I'll take it. So and then we had an argument after that.
Did you not ask 3 times?
You have to ask 3 times?
Oh, David.
Oh, that's the golden rule, isn't it?
Oh, 연애 박사. Okay, I from what I understand.
Yeah.
Now I could be wrong, and this is from hearsay, but I have also read this that typically in East Asian cultures, you should ask 3 times when you offer somebody something. PD님, would you agree with me?
Kind of.
It depends on the situation.
Okay. So
That situation's.
These days, people are more straightforward.
Okay, so 눈치 필요해요. 눈치. So that time you needed to use your 눈치 powers a little more.
Exactly. So I'll be like, you sure? 괜찮아요. Are you sure? 괜찮다니까. Then I'll eat it.
Oh yeah, and then you're like,
gotcha.
oh, I better eat it fast.
All
now.
right.
Okay. Oh, but that's the exact kind of thing I'm talking about. This was we have 2 children, so our time is often very limited, and we have to kind of play this back and forth game of like who has the free time now.
Yeah.
And it was this one situation where my wife was trying to get some work done. And she had told me previously that she wanted to leave the house, to go to a cafe, somewhere
Sure.
quiet to do it. And we had this, I was getting the kids ready early in the morning. And she was like, I got to go. I got to get out of here. And I was like, okay. And I said, oh, just like that. In my mind, it sounded like, okay.
Okay.
Because okay meant 괜찮아요, right?
okay.
And I was like, oh yeah, cool. That we talked about this already. Okay, you can go.
But she thought you were
heard-
being aggressive, huh?
Exactly.
Like,
She
okay,
heard-
go.
Right.
Oh, okay.
And then boom.
Okay.
I found
Yeah.
myself, as we call it, in the doghouse.
Oh no, miscommunication there.
Yeah, and it was like very similar to your situation with 괜찮아요 being, depends on how you say it.
Yeah.
Depends on the situation. Okay can sound very different.
Exactly.
Depends on how you say it, right?
Yeah, I think really, that's, I feel sorry for you, man.
But it's okay because this was a good learning experience because we have these every week. Not fights every week, not arguments every week. But we have situations where,
Differences,
we both come from 2 different backgrounds. Our main languages are different. So here's what I was thinking about. When you're in a relationship where this does involve 2 different languages, should I apologize in my language or should I apologize in my partner's language?
I would say you should apologize in her language 1st and then immediately, like, as you're talking, apologize in your language too.
Cool. So do both.
Do both.
But why
I
hers
think-
first, do you think?
So that she knows that you're sincerely sorry.
Right, cool. And I totally had the same kind of instinct. And I can't remember exactly which one I did, but I was thinking about it afterwards. I was like, what did I say? When I said sorry, did I say it in English or did I say it in Korean? So I asked my wife, I was like, when I apologize in the future, should I say sorry or should I say mian heyo, which I guess is a little bit low level. I'm going to have to up my game a bit. But
I think between family members, 미안해요 is totally fine.
it's okay.
Yeah,
But
it's
don't
like,
mianyo.
No mianyo.
Okay.
But if you're talking to like someone a lot older than you, like parents-in-law, you wouldn't say 미안해요. You would have to say 죄송합니다.
Okay, remember this.
Yeah.
Professor
You
X,
would
come
agree
on.
with that, Jang PD, right? Okay, yeah.
Okay, that's good advice. See, this is why I love this segment because I feel like I'm learning for me and hopefully other people are learning along with me.
Yeah.
But so I did ask her opinion and she surprised me. She said I should apologize in my own language.
Oh, really?
I was surprised by that. I kind of assumed what you said.
Yeah.
Make a sincere effort. So make sure, communication's clear. Say it in her language first.
Yeah.
But she said no. And she had an interesting reason why. She said she's more used to hearing me say the word sorry in a variety of situations so she can hear when it's a real sorry.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we live together, because we communicate a lot. And I think that can go for, not just romantic relationships. Anytime you're used to a person, you get used to how a person speaks.
You do.
Right? Whether
Yeah.
it's your own language or not, you can pick up on that nuance. Is that
For sure.
Is it, oh, sorry, or is it sorry? Right? So she could tell.
Sorry. Oh,
Yeah.
jeez.
Right, which
I made you upset again.
sure I have done that before in the past.
Oh, yeah. You wouldn't want to do that.
No,
Yeah.
not again. So that was kind of a good experience for me, and I was like, you know what? This is another good lesson. When you have a situation like this, and you're like kind of confused about even language, what language you should use, why not talk about it together?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. A good talk is always a good talk. But we had messages coming in.
Yeah, go ahead.
인류의 충전소님 texted in saying 저는 저한테 잘못한 지인이 미안하다고 안 해서 손절한 적도 있어요. So you understand this part?
Not at all. You're gonna have to 미안합니다.
Okay, so because he once had a friend and this friend didn't apologize, so they kind of cut ties, the friendship, right?
Okay.
And 가까운 사이일수록 사과를 잘하는 것도 관계를 잘 유지하는 데 도움이 되는 것 같아요. So even if you are close buddies, if you're in the wrong, you should apologize.
Totally.
Yeah.
For sure. And I'm assuming in the listener situation here, like maybe they both felt the other person was in the wrong.
Yeah, that's sometimes possible.
Right.
Because you don't want to be the first one to kind of be defeated in this argument.
Oh, and I read something really interesting about that. I read there, and this is from the internet. There are various sources, but I thought this was an interesting note from a couple articles I found that kind of compared Western culture versus East Asian culture, let's say. They said Asian culture, but I think that's way too limited.
Yeah.
So I think they meant East Asian culture. And there's kind of this idea in Western culture, like if you say sorry, you're admitting your fault and you're admitting you're the guilty one.
Right.
It's not almost like even there is a 50% possibility. It's like if you say sorry first, you're acknowledging it's my fault. So if you don't believe it's 100% your fault, you don't want to do it. Saying sorry is like really hard.
Yeah.
You don't want to be the first one.
I can kind of understand that point of view as well. But I guess the East Asian culture is a little different on that then.
Their explanation was, and you can tell me if you agree with this or disagree, their explanation was in East Asian cultures, it's often more about like keeping harmony.
Okay.
So it's not seen as a defeat to say sorry first. It's kind of seen like, in a way, more mature because you're more interested in keeping relations like close and better or repairing the damage that was done. And it's not about saying like, what's 100% my fault.
Yeah.
It's not that. It's just, I want to make things better.
Yeah. Yeah.
So and I'm in a relationship where we're kind of Western culture influence versus East Asian culture influence. And sometimes those things might not mix well.
But I guess the fact that you've been happily married for some time now.
Very happily. Everybody look, I'm happy. Very happy.
It seems like you have quite adapted to the East Asian culture quite well.
I'm trying, but that's something. And how long did you live in Canada? You were born there, right?
No,
okay.
I did all my schooling there, elementary.
Okay.
So I went there grade 1 to college.
It had a big influence on you, right?
Yeah.
Do you feel like somehow when you say sorry, you're kind of losing something a bit?
Yeah, that's how I felt when I came to Korea and had arguments with friends or, dates.
Right.
But
why should I say sorry?
Exactly, right? But
Yeah.
now it's more like if you are the one to step up to kind of own up to, because when you get into an argument, you also get emotionally hyped.
Yeah.
It's not just about the arguments, but you're tense, right? You're emotionally tense. So you could say sorry about that part as well.
Yeah,
About
for sure.
raising your voice.
Oh, well,
Things like that.
great advice. And so actually, because I wanted to make sure that, Yone Baksa has got some good information, I did do a little bit of research on that as well. And Time Magazine's kind of a pretty well-known publication. They had an article that said 8 ways to apologize better. And one thing they did say is like, you know what, you should use my a lot when you give an apology. So I apologize for losing my temper, for example, like you're saying, right?
Yeah.
Kind of own up to what your fault was. Even if you don't, even if you kind of recognize this argument wasn't 100% my fault.
Exactly.
Apologize for your part.
Yeah.
Don't say like, I'm sorry for what happened, because what happened is whose fault? That's like it's unavoidable. But take some responsibility. I'm sorry for my anger. I'm sorry for losing my temper. I'm sorry for raising my voice.
Exactly.
So if you include my in there, it's like, oh, I'm taking responsibility.
And I think if you take that first step, instead of nitpicking what the other person said or how the other person is reacting to your arguments or whatnot,
Right.
You feel like you're a much bigger person.
Yeah.
And maybe you're a more mature person.
Yes.
Maybe even, and then the other person might be more willing to apologize, her or himself.
There's research to back that up. Okay, again, from Time Magazine, they say there are actually medical benefits if you're the first one who kind of apologizes. It can not only, solidify relationships. That's the whole purpose of apologizing, usually, right?
Yeah.
Also mend trust, because you might have trust issues that were broken. But also it can lower your stress and improve your mental health for you.
Ooh.
But also the person that you're apologizing to, they can kind of receive improvements in blood pressure and heart rate, as well as increased activation in empathy-related brain regions.
Oh, wow.
Sounds like all technical, but basically what it means is like you're helping them to prepare to forgive you.
Yeah.
So it's good for both of you, and it's good to kind of put an end to whatever the trouble was.
Exactly. I'm more of a peacemaker type of guy.
I believe that.
I hate getting into heated arguments
Me too.
that leads to raising your voice. And,
Right.
Ugh,
Yeah, it doesn't feel good.
No, it doesn't.
And it's just like, there's going to be some time. That's another thing they advise in the article. I was kind of surprised, but thinking about it, it's kind of smart. They said don't rush to apologize. It's actually better to apologize late rather than early.
Oh, so like genuine apology is more better than
Exactly.
just saying sorry, let's move on.
Especially that. Especially like the let's move. Don't do it.
Don't do that.
Don't put any kind of conditions in
Right.
your apology. Don't even expect to be forgiven. Like just realize that apology is like maybe the first step, and it might take some time for the other person to kind of be ready to forgive you.
Yeah. Also, good point set by Jenny님 saying 고맙다는 말도 중요하지만 미안하다는 말을 곧바로 잘하는 건 정말 중요한 듯요. 타이밍 놓치면 사과하기도 힘들어요. So you gotta.
Timing is
Yeah,
tough.
timing is very important.
Important.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
almost got it. Almost
All
got it.
right. I'm sorry, but not sorry, Casey.
It's okay. What did I do? What did I do?
Nothing.
Your timing is bad.
Yeah, my timing is pretty bad. Yeah.
That's all right.
But relationship matters. This was today's topic with Casey. Thank you so much for coming in today.
My pleasure. And I just wanted to add I did apologize first. And I reaped benefits for that.
Oh, good.
So yeah, I can attest. You know, even if you feel like it wasn't 100% your fault, I did say sorry 1st. But I did wait a little bit. It wasn't like, oh, sorry.
Right.
It was
Did
like
you wait like 12 hours?
some space. Yeah,
some time.
Had some space, and it worked out well.
Good. I think, apology, we should say it when we get into heated arguments. We don't want to, ruin relationships.
No.
Timing is very important. Thank you, Casey, once more, and we'll see you next week.
Sounds great. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.